Hi, everybody. My name is Eduardo Besser. I'm a cataract surgeon in Los Angeles, and I have been using Veracity for about 2.5 years. And I wanted to introduce you to the dashboard, and I wanted to introduce you to surgical planning using the Veracity. It really is just a very efficient way of doing your surgical planning all in one place, and rather than having to flip through multiple pieces of paper and having to transcribe data from one site to another. And so everything is just done centrally. And it also kind of takes your tech out of the question rather than having to um, ask them to run all these different calculations. So this is the dashboard essentially. And I want to start here at the images. And I want to go down to this image here because this is what we generally get printed out from our technicians. And so this has all of our eye data. I actually just scanned myself because this is actually my live Veracity program, and all of these things have my actual patient data. So this is my own data that I will share with you, or rather my own scans. And so the I use a IOL Master 700, and so that has a Barrett Universal formula here, which is what I have selected. And then these lenses are actually just there. I've never used them as part of my uh, standards. I have always used it with Veracity, so I never set my preferences up over here. But this is kind of what we all get printed out, along with some of the other data and that you can analyze, but this is what your technicians print for you. However, if you do multiple scans, then the technician might print this one, or the technician might print this one. And the case can vary. And so you're making decisions based on either one, or they're printing multiple scans for you, in which case you have to run through multiple sheets of paper. And so I just want to kind of start it that way, and then I'd like to show you the difference between that and using Veracity. We start here at the patient dashboard, and you start with which eye you operate on. And so we'll say both eyes, right eye first. And it brings you to the surgical planning screen. So at the surgical planning screen, you have some defaults. And so this is going to be the surgical plan up here. And all of these things down here, we'll get to those in a second. You can look at all of your measurements down below here through your keratometry. However, I myself prefer to look at the measurements here, and this shows me everything in one quick screen. So the top is my refraction. Then these are the scans of my total keratometry, anterior keratometry, including this line is my autokeratometer, and here I have my scans from my pentacam as well. But we can import multiple diagnostic devices, and you can link any of your devices, and they will transfer and display in this area here. The reason I like using this screen as opposed to the surgical planning screen is because it shows me where there's variation in my keratometry measurements. And when I looked at some of my images, I have quite a bit of dry eye, and I think that's what's accounting for some of this variation. But for the purposes of surgical planning and just looking through this, I figured we would use these. So it has your anterior keratometry, your posterior keratometry, and all of your biometry, and you can see how precisely these are done, so you can get a sense as to how accurately were your scans. And you can also look at all these things. Any of these arrows are available. And in the case that you have a very dense cataract and the IOL master or your biometer is not able to get through, you can just click right here, and you can just add the information here and use that for your lens calculations. The other thing about here is you can, this little blue line here, that's what will actually be used in your cataract surgery plan. So it'll use these Ks, these Ks, these Ks. You can select whichever one you want to use. So for the total K, there's 221, 196, or 257. Now, as I said, I think this variability is because of my dry eyes. But if we see a couple here, the pentacam doesn't depend on the tear film. And so we can select this one, say this one, and this one. And now you have the Barrett integrated Ks. So you can select this, you'll get a pop-up that says, do you want to use it with Callisto or not? You can say, yes, I want to use Barrett integrated Ks, and that will come up with an average of the 3Ks that you have selected. So this is further option as opposed to just having to choose one set of Ks for your calculations. So once I've decided my Ks, and then down here, there's pretty good scans of my axial length and other measurements. That has been selected here. I like to go to my surgical plan. And for time-wise, I'm going to focus primarily on the left eye because this is the eye that has more astigmatism. So this area here where you're selecting your lens model, so monofocal, these pop up, and these are things that I have programmed myself as my preferences. If you use a toric lens, then the other preferences, and these are very easy to program, and I'll show you how to do that at the end, hopefully. So, but as you select each lens, it will show you what that power of that lens will be. Let's start with the monofocal lens. So if we select the CT Lucia, I'm going to say, okay, I want to aim for -1/4. Here is, rather than only having the Barrett universal formula, now here I have the Zeiss formula, the Kane, and the holiday formulas in the SRKT. Each formula gives you a predicted spherical equivalent. So you can look at all of them as opposed to just a single formula. Furthermore, these little arrows are live. So the IOL, the Zeiss AI calculator saying 20.5 is going to give me -0.16 spherical equivalent. Well, I can go say, okay, well, what would it be if it was a 20 diopter? And same thing with Kane. So now I can get a sense as to these three. I can also expand that, and this will show half a diopter above and below. And so you can decide, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with Barrett, but do I want to start integrating Zeiss? Do I want to start integrating Kane into my calculations? And later on, we'll see how you can get, you can have a data analysis to look at your outcomes without you really having to do much work. The other thing is, I do have quite a bit of cylinder. You can click on this button right here to check on your arcuate incisions. If you were going to check, if you're going to correct the cylinder using arcuate incisions, I'm going to have two 65-degree arcs, which is quite a bit, and we'll take a look and see where that came from. Furthermore, if you want to use a toric lens, and we'll select an Eyehance here. So here it's going to show me using an Eyehance toric. This is the power. This is the axis. And this is my expected predicted residual astigmatism. So just like you have the spherical equivalent formulas here, you have your formulas here for the toric IOL. So you can use any of the three formulas, and this is the toric power with the residual astigmatism. Once again, these are live. So if you go up, well, here now it shows you in orange that you have flipped the axis. As you go down, if I flip, I'm using the Barrett here. So if we click down a couple, so now it shows that I have some residual cylinder. As it tends to happen, sometimes when we do our toric calculations, we have some residual cylinder. Here you can just click on the arcuate, and it will calculate if there, your arcuate incisions for you, and tell you, okay, if you used a toric lens with their incisions, now you're practically reducing the cylinder to nothing, or very close to zero. And here, these are the formulas that were used to calculate those incisions using a femtosecond laser with an 80% depth. The other beauty about here is, as we discussed, how easy it is to just select between lenses. I was called on a Monday night and told that the Eyehance toric was not going to be available, and I was actually going to be operating my uncle, and I was going to be doing that Wednesday morning. So they called me. I logged into my Veracity because this is all just an internet browser. I clicked on the Invista Aspire, and then very quickly I was able to order the lens, and they had that, and very easily this can be changed, as opposed to having to call my technician and tell them, you know what, we need to change the lens, or we need to go to a different lens. And so this can be done very easily and everything can be done by the surgeon. As we saw, the spherical equivalent calculations, here are your formulas. For the toric arc calculation, these are the formulas which are live. And for your arc incisions, these are here are your formulas. And so you can see all of this and where it comes from. Here are the measurements that were seen prior, but they don't have the difference of whether there's a variation. It doesn't give you that alert. And so these highlighted ones, those are the ones that are going into the calculation of your intraocular lens. As you scroll down, you have your lenses that you've previously selected for the capsular bag, the sulcus, or the anterior chamber. And here you can see if you have supplemental techniques, if you need a Malyugin ring or trypan blue, you can select those as well. Now, once you have selected your desired lens, you can approve the plan. It'll pop up these alerts. It says, okay, this is not my surgeon's default, and it may give you a couple of validations that you just need to consider, and then you can acknowledge those alerts and approve. And then the plan has been approved. I have very quickly looked at what lens I want, what power I want. I have decided on my different formulas that I want to use. And now I have it here. This little icon indicates that I have good reference images if you're using the Callisto system. Here means that surgical planning has not been done yet. Here the surgical planning has been completed and you have good systems. So now this information will all transfer to the Callisto system and will be in the operating room for you so that you can easily line up your toric lens with the video overlay. So here, once you have approved all this, on the date of the OR, this procedure tab, if you click on that, it has all of the patients that you will be doing surgery on for that day. And here's the OR module here. So once I click on OR module, it just brings that left eye, tells me I'm going to, the lens that I'm going to use, the axis where I'm going to use it, the LRIs, and everything is here. So if you have these supplemental techniques such as like Malyugin ring or trypan blue, that will show up yellow. So all of this stuff will show up over here. If you happen to not use these lenses or if there's an issue, you can just flip through and change all of this stuff on the fly as well. And once you have completed surgery, you click on Close Now. When you click on Close Now in the OR, well, I have my computer in the operating room. And so when I click on Close Now, Veracity now knows that this is the lens that I use, and this was my plan, and it knows the expected refractive outcome. 1 month after my surgery, we do a refraction in the office, and my EMR system syncs directly to Veracity. So we can very quickly do a data analysis. So this is previously impossible. I can look at last 1,000 cases. I can look at my outcomes using different formulas. I can look at my outcomes using different IOL technologies. I can look at my outcomes doing standard phaco versus femto. And so you have all of this power and all of this data without really having done very much work other than just integrating between your EMR system to here. And then you can review your outcomes and compare those against everybody else. Lastly, I would like to show here, this is my IOL configurations and IOL constants. So you can select the IOLs. So all of those drop downs, those are right here. And if you want, you can select them by, by the type of IOL. And then when you come down here, you can just as easily click those and you can, well, we'll cancel this lens model. But you can see here, it's a hydrophobic lens. What are the powers? And so you can look at all the different lenses and include those or exclude them from your drop-down list. But just by clicking on them, you can select those. Recently, recently I just had the folks from Light Adjustable Lens, because I'm going to start bringing them in. they came in, the manufacturer constant is 118.4. But they said that the new constant that they've been using is 119.1. So I changed it right here on Veracity. I didn't have to have the reps come and program my IOL master. I can do all that stuff myself. And then furthermore, over here, Veracity Optimized means it has 10,755 patients where they recommend an IOL constant of 119.178 as opposed to 119.1. It's not a huge difference, but this is a optimized constant, and then you can do my personalized optimized A constant based on 127 cases. And you can do that once you've got over 50 cases, it automatically optimizes your A constants and you can use them. So coming back to the surgical plan or the OR here, you can see how powerful this software is, and you can very easily select all of your lenses, do all of your lens calculations. It can give you a wide variety of formulas with which to make your decisions without having to go back to your technician. And it also gives you the ability to analyze all of your data very rapidly in one space rather than having to flip through a lot of pages. And so this has really made surgical planning for me much, much more efficient, much quicker. It has kind of given me the power of not having to depend on my technicians for calculations and to adjust different lenses. And it also, I really enjoyed being able to use multiple formulas and determine which formula is best, um, just so easily and on the fly. Um, I want to thank everybody and stick around. We're going to have a Q&A session in shortly.